What would I do today if I wanted to start a business and become an entrepreneur? Knowing what I know now, what is that I would tell myself if I was in my 20s and wanted to start a business? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Erkka Suvanto. Many of you call me EJ. I'm the guy who's on social media who wants to build a legacy and pass on all the business and life lessons to each and every one of you. I pivoted 3 times as an entrepreneur, literally started from scratch. This video today is about those learnings. What is it that I would tell myself to get started? Entrepreneurship is completely different than having a corporate career. I've done both. For the first 10 plus years, I worked for a large international IT or telecommunications company, worked in 3 different countries. So I've seen many different roles. I know what it takes to climb the ladder in a corporate world. But this video today is all about entrepreneurship because the path, in my opinion, is completely different. If I want to succeed in a corporate life or become a doctor or become a lawyer or get a formal job, so to say, then there's no other way but go to school. Times might change in the future, I don't know, but at least as of now in 2024, you still need to go to that 4-year college first, undergraduate school, followed by a graduate program in order to become a lawyer or a doctor, get you a PhD and all of that. There's no shortcut. But entrepreneurship is completely different. There's this never-ending debate about going to school, getting your business degree, and then climbing that corporate ladder and maybe potentially then hop onto the other side of the fence and start your own business. What would I do today now that I'm 48 years old? I've grown several companies, literally pivoted 3 times, started from zero, from scratch, my own business. And knowing what I know now, this video is for you. Let's start by drawing a picture. Or maybe this is more like a pyramid or a mountain. To me, this shows our ultimate goal. Let's say here at the top, our ultimate goal is to become a business owner. The question is, how do we get there? And that's what this video today is all about. Here on the left, I'm going to also draw a line which illustrates our age. Not that it matters that much, but in reality, it does. So 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And let's change colors here a little bit. So let's say I'm my age and I have climbed the corporate ladder. I'm almost at the 50-year mark here. And I realized that, oh shoot, this is not my thing. What do I do? Human psychology is such that we want to take a parallel path, a couple of steps sideways, and start from here and keep climbing up to the top, reaching our ultimate goal of becoming a business owner. But unfortunately, the way it works in reality, oftentimes, is that instead of doing this, we actually have to walk all the way back to the bottom of the mountain, choose a parallel path, and start climbing. Sometimes we go backwards, and then eventually we get there. And to me, this blue line represents the entrepreneurship trail or path. And in my opinion, there are 2 alternative trails for that, or options for that. The first one is the so-called formal education. And the second one is what I call the practical path. Today's video is not about the formal education. And like I mentioned in the beginning, this is not about if you want to become a lawyer or a doctor or a nurse or something that requires that 4-year degree or 6-year degree in a university or college. This is about how to get here, become a business owner, in my opinion, in the most effective way. And to me, the practical path is a combination of learning by doing and some specific training. How would I structure it? That's what comes next. How do we get started? Again, our goal is to get to the top, become a business owner. We are in our early 20s or maybe even our 30s. We don't know what to do. Knowing what I know now, these are the 3 steps I would repeat, starting with number 1. Find a mentor. Personal trainer, coach, mentor. what kind of a person are we looking for? That particular person is better than us. He or she has been there where we want to go, has walked the steps, knows what it takes to grow a business. Not somebody who inherited a business, but literally somebody who has grown it from zero. Ideally, this person is the CEO and owner of a company. Could be a chairman too. Started from zero. And the company, in my books, is anywhere between 5 to 10 million a year in revenue. Doesn't really matter, but making sure that it's large enough, meaning it has employees, people working there, and it has an organization. Not just a one-man show, but people and functions. What are the functions we are looking for? If you really look at the nuts and bolts of any business, we can use all kinds of fancy words about this and that, but at the end of the day, it boils down to three things. Number one, get customers. How do we acquire them? How do we deliver to those customers, whether it's a service or a physical product? And three, how do we run the operations, meaning keeping everybody out of trouble? This would be your legal, HR, IT, or probably grouped into one: customer delivery and acquiring customers. Customer acquisition. Three functions. In the beginning, that person who started the business from scratch had to learn how to sell. Right here. In the second step, you need to know how to build your product or your service, making sure that it becomes excellent, so you have a track record of growing the company. So the company itself has a proof of concept. Very important. So we don't want just a startup, but an established business that has a proof of concept. Check mark. And then operations lead. So these three skills are what we are looking for. And I'll show you how to get there. First step first, find a mentor. Plenty of options. What I would do in the beginning is to look at my area. This has to be somebody who's close to you, because in the second step, I will highlight and illustrate to you what you are going to do next. But it requires physical presence and working for that person. So, company in your area. Use internet, Google, ChatGPT, any kind of search, read the newspapers, business magazines, talk to people. Who are the candidates? What kind of businesses are there that you can contact and start working for them? This is our goal. But the first step is to make sure that we have these criteria identified. Check in the box. The second step in our process is usually the hardest, because it requires you to sell yourself, your skills, to this potential person, this mentor that we just identified. Step number two, you contact, you plus sell, meaning your own services to that person. What are we looking for? If I was in my 20s and I didn't really have any previous experience, here's my pitch. I would contact the owner and say, look, I'm willing to work for free. This is my goal. In 4 years, I want to become an entrepreneur like you. I want to learn from you. I'm willing to work for free, and yes, for free, and this is the hard part, so that I can demonstrate to you what value I can bring to the table. My ideal role would be to become your personal assistant for free and become a personal assistant. And why that? I'll get to that later. That's the scenario number one. So if I'm in my 20s, what if I'm in my 30s or 40s? It's different, because presumably then I already have, if we look at here, so I may be here, so I have anywhere between 5 to 15 years, maybe 20 years of professional experience working for somebody else. But still I need to do the same thing, meaning be willing to walk down, maybe all the way to the bottom of the mountain, but at least take significant steps backwards. So I'll basically take whatever role possible. But the reason why I love the personal assistant role is that I want to be as close to that key decision maker as possible. The person who has demonstrated how to grow the business, because he or she, the guy who runs that, the CEO slash owner slash chairman, is the person who has done all of that that you want to copy and learn from. So we just don't want to distance ourselves from that person. So that's why working for free and becoming the personal assistant, like the go-to person, like the right-hand person to that CEO, is very important. That's what I would personally do. And understanding and remembering that in the beginning, whether we start from scratch and we are in our 20s or in our 30s or 40s, when we take a so-called downgrade, the key is this. We have plenty of promises, but we have zero proof. No proof. Only promises. That's why we need to be humble and be willing to work for free. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get to this position, be as close to that mentor as possible, and then demonstrate, make it as easy as possible for this person. Selling my services, hey, my offer is so good that it's impossible to say no to it. I'll work for free for 6 months, as long as it takes, so that I can demonstrate how good I can be and help you build your business. It's a win-win at the end of the day, because even if that person, that CEO, is not paying anything for your work, they are still paying one way or the other, with time and with inconvenience. It's not for free for them to take somebody on board. It requires a lot of sacrifice. Maybe that person doesn't need anybody. So we are burdened in the beginning. So that's what we have to be comfortable with, and we need to be able to deal with that. Third and the last step is when the heavy lifting starts. This is the so-called 4-year plan. This means that my ultimate goal is to become a filter or a sponge. This is a bad picture probably, but the idea is this. This is all the data, this is all the messaging, everything that comes into the company, and this is what goes out. The CEO, the owner, the person who grew the business, sits in this position. Our goal is to understand what goes into this black box and what comes out. What are the decisions that the CEO makes? What are the priority calls? What kind of headaches does he or she need to deal with on a daily basis? Everything and anything that goes through this person's desk is something that we want to learn from as well. That's why the role of personal assistant. This is called the so-called sponge or the filter role. There is no better position to learn from than being the person who gets to see what comes in and what goes out. This is our 4-year plan. In 4 years, we're going to gain so much experience. If we are successful in landing at that job, at the end of that 4-year period, we have so much information, we have so much data that no business school can offer a program like that. And if we go back to the beginning, when our second path, remember, was a combination of, this was the so-called practical path. What was the makeup of that? That was specific training plus learning by doing. Learning by doing. Guess what? This thing here is the learning by doing. Then we have the specific training to tackle. And this is what I would do in the form of YouTube videos, books, podcasts, etc. to complement. What are the questions that pop up here? Oh, okay, why is it that you do it that way? Maybe I want to get a different perspective. You talk to your CEO, assuming that you have a good role at this point, a good relationship, with that person at that point. So you have a dialogue. This person sees that, okay, you're actually able to add value. In the beginning, you're probably just going to be a coffee maker or a person sorting out mail or answering phones, and that's fine. It's going to take time to gain trust and learn as you go. But eventually, you'll get there. You become a valuable member of that community, of that company, and then your filter or your sponge role is your solution to becoming an entrepreneur. And then complementing that with specific training. And you'll know as you go what needs you have. This program or these steps, 1, 2, 3, are the ones I would personally repeat if I had to go back to to my 20s or even to my 30s or 40s, I would be willing to take a step back or 5 steps back and learn from the best. Finding a mentor, putting together a plan and executing it. And then ultimately, my toolbox is full of valuable information. I learned from somebody, or maybe even 2 people. Maybe during your 4-year plan, you end up switching companies. Nobody knows. Or maybe this company grows and you get a nice operational role and maybe an equity share or whatever, and you actually end up staying. Nobody knows. But this would be my plan to get to my ultimate goal of becoming a business owner. 1, 2, 3, extremely practical, learning from the best. This was all for today. Thank you for watching. I highly appreciate it. And I'll talk to you next time. And by the way, if you like the videos, please hit the like and the subscribe buttons. I highly appreciate it. Thank you.